Yeah, I did change, and I'm really glad I changed.
This one's wife. Australia incoming. But are they welcome? Hello, I'm HG Tudor. News.com.au reports that Prince Harry and this one's wife are reportedly planning to return to Australia, g'day, in the near future. Harry and this one's wife last travelled down under in 2018 in what was their first royal tour together after getting married. Now, pausing there, many of you will recall that the trip, certainly in the Australian part of it, was notable for two particular things. This one's wife, when undertaking a walkabout and meet and greet, declared, "I can't believe that I'm not getting paid for this." You know, as a consequence of the fact that she is a narcissist, that remark demonstrated her sense of entitlement, her preoccupation with money as a somatic narcissist, her absence of emotional empathy, her absence of accountability, whereby she has no notion of the concept of service unless it benefits her. It was also the case that on that tour, during the Australian leg, that this one's wife was rumoured to have hurled the hot tea at a member of staff as a consequence of the fact that she wasn't getting her own way in respect of having the entirety of Admiralty House to herself. Once again, this is demonstrative of her belief that she should be afforded special treatment, showing her sense of entitlement, a lack of accountability for her behaviour, an absence of emotional empathy by way of the fact that she believes that she should have the entire property to herself, irrespective of any inconvenience that might cause to others, and the fact that if she did throw hot tea at somebody, that is clearly an unpleasant thing to do and is a form of assault. Again, belying an absence of emotional empathy. Those two incidents were clear and have been spoken about on numerous occasions thereafter. It's the case that their plans to return have been revealed in a leaked letter that they sent to one of their pals. Angela Pearl, not somebody I'm familiar with, a celebrity astrologer, which tells you why I'm not familiar with her, and friend of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, shared an Instagram post which featured a happy snap of herself with the pair. Included in the post was a copy of a letter the Sussexes had sent to her under the category of personal correspondence. Dear Angela, we wanted to thank you for joining us, the letter began, with the next part redacted. Your energy and insight were such a welcome addition. While much of the rest was covered up, it was the visible last sentence that gave away the power couple's Australia plans. On a separate note, we hope your family in Ukraine remains safe, and we look forward to staying in touch, especially as we look to visit Australia again. Now, pausing there, Angela Pearl holds the position of a non-intimate secondary source in the fuel matrix of this one's wife. The sending of the letter is what is known as a hoover. It's a direct assertion of control by this one's wife sent to this non-intimate secondary source to assert control over her, potentially draw fuel by way of a response, and undoubtedly to manage her facade as a kind and caring person. Harry and this one's wife previously told Oprah Winfrey during their infamous royal exit interview that their last trip to Australia changed everything about how they felt toward the royal family. After we had gotten back from our Australia tour, we talked about things. Really started to turn when I knew we weren't being protected, this one's wife said. To see how effortless it was for this one's wife to come into the family so quickly in Australia and across New Zealand, Fiji and Tonga and just be able to connect with people, Harry said. She was welcomed into the family not just by the family, but by the world. So you did recognise that she was welcomed into the family, Harry, despite trying to suggest that she was treated badly. Accordingly, a trip to Australia is on the cards. No detail has been provided as to when that might take place. But given what has passed in the last 7 years, the death of Queen Elizabeth II, who remained respected by many Australians, the ascension of King Charles III, who might not be viewed as favourably as Queen Elizabeth II was, the behaviours of Harry and this one's wife, and let's not forget that our Antipodean cousins are straight shooters. They don't fuck around when it comes to speaking their minds. Is it the case that this one's wife and Harry can expect a warm welcome should they indeed head down under? Well, Australian opinion on Prince Harry and this one's wife, as reflected in available polls and media commentary, tends to be rather mixed, but it leans more favourably towards Harry individual than the couple as a whole. Australia, as a Commonwealth nation with historical ties to the monarchy, often mirrors broader British sentiments with a more Republican-leaning edge. Many Aussies tend to view the royals as distant celebrities rather than national figures. Recent data, up to late 2025, shows Harry's popularity buoyed by his military background and charity work, for example Invictus Games, while this one's wife faces more criticism, which has been framed around perceptions of her as demanding or opportunistic. Insights are provided from international surveys with Australian subsamples, qualitative media analysis and expert commentary in outlets like ABC News and the Sydney Morning Herald. Key themes from the data that I've seen tells us that Harry has the edge. He's often seen as the good guy in the royal drama surrounding the Sussexes, with sympathy for his family estrangement. This one's wife is seen as challenging. She's more polarising, with many Australian commentaries highlighting criticism of her for her behaviours. Their joint ventures, for example, their Netflix projects, draw scepticism. And there are contextual factors. King Charles's 2024 Australia tour highlighted Republican debates, indirectly boosting working royals like William and Kate over the Sussexes. In September 2024, there was an Ipsos global royalty poll, which included an Australia subsample, and this explained that Harry was 28% favourable, with this one's wife with a lower favourability of 20%. And ABC News noted that Harry and this one's wife were bumping along at the bottom of opinion polls. The YouGov Global Royalty Tracker in May 2025, which was cross-referenced in the Australian media, stated that Harry was 27% positive, 63% negative, giving him a net negative outcome of 36%. This one's wife was 21% positive, 68% negative, giving her a net negative 47%, which was an all-time low. Sydney Morning Herald articles referenced this, stated that there was a loathing of this one's wife post-Oprah and the Netflix debacle, and that she was viewed as a chancer. Australian outlets have critiqued them. ABC News in October 2025, with biographer Andrew Morton, stating that Harry and this one's wife are at the bottom of the opinion polls currently. The Sydney Morning Herald in November 2025, columnist Kate Halfpenny called this one's wife a chancer and a phony amid the poppy-wearing backlash at Kris Jenner's party, but defended her right to American life. Optics issues arose with the celebrity ties, for instance, their involvement with the Kardashians, clashing with Harry's veteran status. There has been earlier pieces highlighting a loathing of this one's wife and a desire to have them stripped of their titles, with Harry being stripped of succession rights. Broader trends, interestingly, in 2025, the searches yielded minimal recent Australia-specific discussion about them, which might suggest that there is diminished interest in them as a whole. Their recent Colombia-Nigerian quasi-tours were viewed as grandstanding per ABC. Overall sentiment is negative for them. It's better for Harry alone, and Harry's Invictus work still appears to have some resonance, but this one's wife's projects are simply seen as commercial. Thus, it's interesting that they have chosen to undertake a tour because their popularity is negative. In some instances, many people don't seem to be interested in them as a whole, and the media generally has a poor view of them. So, what's behind this? Well, this one's wife, of course, has engineered quasi-tours where they've gone to other places in the past, some of them quasi-royal, some of them royal, and invariably she has managed to piss people off no matter where she has gone, either piggybacking the Invictus Games, trying to make them about her, or the quasi-royal tours in Nigeria and Colombia, or the royal attendance in South Africa. And it remains to be seen whether that will happen again in Australia given the passage of time. Why would she be choosing to do this? Well, remember, this one's wife is deluded, and notwithstanding what the polls will say, she believes that she can win people over, and it might be a case of wanting to generate footage for commercial ventures and believing that Australia is going to welcome them with open arms. I form the view that this may well be a watershed moment whereby the Aussies are not afraid of making themselves heard. Brits, whilst critical, tend to be more reserved when it comes to attendance in person. Yes, there was the service of booing, but as a whole, Brits are more reserved in their behaviours, whereas Australians are more forthright. And given the level of unpopularity that they have had, and the attacks that are undertaken upon the Queen, who remained respected in Australia, one can imagine that it's actually going to be something of a rough ride for them. But naturally, this one's wife, given her inability to read the room as a consequence of her narcissism, will undoubtedly believe that she can win the public over. Accordingly, if this leak is correct and that they are intending to go to Australia, it's going to provide some noteworthy moments. What do you think about this prospective trip, valuable viewers? Do you think that it's going to result in disaster for the gruesome twosome? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.